Hello, my name is Katina Dudley, and this is my PBL for School Law, Search and Seizure, Applying the Laws to Student-Owned Cell Phones in the Classroom. My original reason for wanting to study this was because of the amount of distractions that cell phones cause in the classroom. Students tend to use their cell phones not necessarily for learning, but to send text messages, to take selfies, to use social media, to play games. Over the summer, I had a brief meeting with our new administrator, and he asked me what are the issues that Monticello High School has with cell phones. And I kind of blew the question off and said, oh, we don't have that big of a problem. But when I got home later, I kind of regretted saying that as my response, because there are some teachers that work with students who have lots of issues with cell phones. And for some reason, I just started looking at research for no other reason than just to see what is the impact of cell phones in the classroom. And I was a little bit surprised at what I found. So I started this PBL project on cell phones, and about 6 weeks into the school year, I stopped to meet with the principal. And while we were meeting, I just said, so what are your issues that you deal with cell phones? And these were the three leading issues that he deals with. The first one, students making threats that cause him to have to do threat assessments. The second one is just students being mean to other students using their phones. And the third one was students spreading rumors about other students. And these seem to be the issues that he gets the most calls about. Cell phones contribute to deficiencies in student learning because they are a constant distraction to their attention. The cost is demonstrated through a simple experiment that shows the cost in time and accuracy of switching attention from one task to another. So I decided to do a simple study with my own students. And so essentially what I did was I asked my students to count, or to say their ABCs, to count 1 to 26, and then to combine the two tasks together and say their ABCs and 1 to 26, A1, B2, C3. Here the data shows the students that said their ABCs, they averaged about a little less than 5 seconds. When they counted 1 to 26, that average was a little bit closer to 7 seconds. And when they combined the two tasks, A1, B2, C3, it averaged to be a little bit over a minute, somewhere between a minute to a minute and 15 seconds. Some kids took a lot longer. Some kids did it pretty fast. This kid's down here at just below 40 seconds. Even the students were surprised at how much longer it took them to complete both tasks. Our brain is not designed for heavy load multitasking, and research shows that individuals can only attend to one cognitive task at a time. Other research, some of this research I had looked into prior to this class and some of it since the class. This first one was a 2014 study completed at Stanford University on at-risk students learning with technology, and they concluded that providing students with one-to-one access in schools provides the most benefit, but their study did not include smartphones. These were other types of technology that were given to the students in the schools. According to Richard Freed, smartphone use by teens is actually detrimental to their learning because their use is dominated by entertainment and not learning and using the applications that they use on their phones. Another study, struggling students are more likely to use their cell phone for non-educational purposes, and if this continues, what will the impact be on the achievement gap? And I asked this question because in another study done at the Bland and Murphy for London School of Economics and Political Science, they said that banning mobile phones improves the outcomes for lower achievement students. So during preschool week, when our leadership team met with the administrators, they gave out the data. And what we were seeing was that in the last 6 years at Monticello High School, and actually in Albemarle County, our data has actually done the reverse. We had worked really hard for years to close the achievement gap, and then the data is clearly showing us that the achievement gap is spreading. And so, since I had been doing this reading, I had to wonder, what impact does technology have on this achievement gap in Albemarle County? And I've actually talked to some instructional coaches downtown to see if there's some sort of study that we could run to see the impacts of technology, cell phones, and other factors that might be contributing to what's increasing the achievement gap. And then a third study that was done in a college classroom at Miami University, Middletown, Ohio. This professor divided his class into 3 groups. One group was able to use their cell phones and their technology for whatever they wanted to do. A second group could only use their technology and to send messages or look up anything that pertained to the lecture. And a third group was the control group, and that particular group was unable to use any technology in class. And essentially what he found was when he gave the test, the control group, who had no access to technology, and the class-related messaging group performed 70% better on the assessment than the students that had just been randomly using their cell phones for whatever they wanted to. I also looked at cell phone policies in three different counties. Albemarle County cell phone policy, first violation, confiscate the phone. You can give it back to the student at the end of the day. Second violation, you take the phone, you send it to the office, and then the office allows the student to pick the phone up at the end of the day. The third violation is the same as the second, except parents retrieve the phone. I'm not even aware of any situations where parents are called in to pick up phones, but I do know that there are teachers that confiscate phones because they're just tired of the kids having them out in class. The second school system that I looked at is Chesterfield County Public Schools. Phones are not permitted in that school division during the day. They must be kept in a locker, car, or in a purse or a backpack. The phones may be confiscated for repeat offenders, and they will also be fined detention of some sort before, after school, or out-of-school suspension. Students who use their phone during testing will have their phone confiscated immediately, and students who use their phone unlawfully during the school hours are subject to disciplinary action as a result of that behavior, and those phones can be turned over to police. Nelson County Public Schools, they permit the use of cell phones before school, during lunch, and after school. But when you're in a classroom, you must check your phone in during that class time at a cell phone parking lot in each classroom. And then you check your own phone in, and then you get your own phone out at the end of class. When you look at the laws, Fourth Amendment and reasonable searches, Fourth Amendment protects students from unreasonable searches. So what is a reasonable search? First, one must consider whether the action was justified at its inception, and second, one must determine whether the search is actually conducted, if it was reasonable and if it was related in scope to the circumstance. And so these four cases I also looked at to see what happened in the courts. First one, New Jersey versus TLO. School officials actually searched a purse because they were suspicious that a student had cigarettes, and they had reason to search the purse. When they searched the student's purse, they found marijuana and what looked to be a student distributing marijuana in school, so she was charged. This particular case held up in courts because the school had a reason to search her purse. Klump versus Nazareth Area School District, teacher confiscated a student's phone after it fell out of the student's pocket. The teacher and the principal searched the phone and read text messages and other phone messages. They did not have a reason to search this phone. This case did not hold up in court. Third case, JW versus DeSoto County. Student was suspended after a teacher confiscated his phone. The student was suspended because there were gang-related images found on the phone. Again, the principal did not have a reason to search the student's phone. GC versus Owensboro Public Schools, teachers confiscated the phone after a student was caught texting. The student was expelled for texting and other discipline issues. The principal searched the phone, but again, the principal did not have reasons for searching the phone. So none of these three cases were supported by the courts because the administrators and teachers did not have reasons to search the phone. So I took that information with the laws and with the court cases and created this concept map for teachers. Can a teacher confiscate a phone? What does your school policy say? If your school policy allows you to confiscate a phone, then yes, you may be responsible for what happens to that phone while it's in your custody. If your school policy does not support it, then you are not allowed to confiscate a phone. Once you confiscate a phone, can you search a phone? If you have a reason to search the phone, students are protected by their Fourth Amendment, but if there is a reason to search the phone, then yes. After talking to our school resource officer, he highly recommends that when you're going to search a phone, that you ask the student's permission prior to searching the phone. If you don't have reasonable grounds to search the phone, do not search the phone. Can a school resource officer search the phone? Yes, but an administrator needs to have a reason to ask the school resource officer if the school resource officer can search the phone. Again, he said if this were a request, he would, but he would get permission from the student prior to searching a student's phone. A student's expectation of privacy is substantially less while on school grounds, but school officials must nonetheless have a reason to search the phone before they do a phone search. Here are some recommended strategies for teachers in the classroom. Cell phone parking lots. Students check in or park their phones for the duration of the period. There are some teachers that have these little calculator bags. Student checks it in. It's got a little number related to it, and then a student goes and picks their phone up at the end of the day. Another school system nearby, Louisa County Public Schools, they also have a zero tolerance policy. Students cannot have their phones out during the school day in the classrooms at all. The third suggested is cell phone zones. And so the students and the teacher agree on what location in the classroom can cell phones be allowed. Would it be in a bag? Would it be in a purse? Is it on the desk? Is it in the desk? Is it some container on the table that's near the student that the student parks their phone? Overall, we are very aware that phones are a distraction for students and that phones do take away from student learning. But how can we work together in a world where technology is definitely part of our students' lives so that both can feel successful at the end of the day? Thank you for your time.